Hey everybody! I came live a little bit early, so I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to join. Type for a minute. Okay, so welcome. I am about 10 minutes early, so I'm gonna hang out here and wait for some of you guys to join. I've learned my lesson about being right on time, and I'm sorry my hair is sticking up. It just is. Hey Michelle, how are you? Hey Kelly from Pennsylvania. Is it already cold there, Kelly? It started to get cold like I don't know, 2 hours ago here. So it was pretty warm. It was like 70 degrees here earlier, but it's going to get really cold tonight and tomorrow. And as most of the country. Hey, Sandra. And then it'll warm back up. So my hair is still standing up. I guess it's going to be standing up. Hey, Cheryl. Yay. Well, I'm glad you guys are joining tonight. I put the link out a little bit earlier today, but I did not post about it a lot. So I'm glad you guys are getting notifications. Yeah, yeah, it's getting cold here now, Kelly, for sure. I wore my coat tonight. We've been to the shop well, this is my third time coming to the shop today on a Sunday. We came over earlier this morning and we had a new mailbox. And so we've had it for a little while. It's our third mailbox since we moved in here, believe it or not. The first one got destroyed. It was up near the road. And for those of you who've been here before, that's a busy little road. And so I was still living in St. Croix. I mean, it was very early on. It had to be 2015. And I got a phone call, and somebody had there's a daycare across the street. And so cars stopped to turn into the daycare. And there's a funny story about that daycare. You've probably heard me tell it in some of my other videos. But the car behind it didn't realize that they were stopped, and so slammed on the brakes and swerved over to keep from hitting it and destroyed our mailbox. I mean, it threw it 100 yards away, pieces of it all over the place. Hey, Kathy, how are you from Georgia? Marietta. In case you don't know how to say that, Marietta. It's a very uh, slurred pronunciation. I'm not sure if I got it right after living down there for a while. So that was the first mailbox. And then we put up another one off of the road down kind of at the driveway turn in. And it was a much cheaper mailbox. It was kind of plasticky because we thought it might get destroyed again. And my husband, he's really good about thinking things through. And so he did not want somebody to hit the mailbox and get hurt. And so I wanted to do like a masonry thing and make it really cool. And he didn't want to put anything up that anybody could hit and get hurt. But since we put it way off the road, the only people who've hit it were the people who came in to repair the power poles and stuff after Helene, and they destroyed it. So it's been hanging out there for a year. And it's looked pretty sad and pitiful, and it was broken, and it worked, but it wasn't pretty. And so I was still on the fence about whether or not I wanted to build this really cool, I had this vision in my head of this really cool kind of Harry Potterish owlery mailbox kind of thing, but Victorian. I wanted it to be Victorian to go with the house. And finally I had to punt because the mailbox looked so terrible I couldn't take it anymore. And so I bought a new mailbox. It's a cool one though, and it's the exact right color, believe it or not, that matches the trim work on the house. It's this really cool blue green color. And of course Mr. Ponder took it out of the box and laid it on the tailgate and scratched it. And I'm like, that was a brand new mailbox. I wasn't going to complain too much because he's a big helper. He did a lot of helping with me. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Janice. So I've got to try to match. Fortunately, this company that I bought it from gives you the Pantone color. And I should have cleaned that. I'm going to clean the lens again. Sorry. I always forget to do that. It didn't help much. I forgot what I did the last time that made it better. I don't remember. Anyway, the Pantone color, so I'm gonna have to get some touch-up paint. It's powder coated, though. It's metal powder coated, so it won't look exactly the same. It's only got one scratch on it, but that's the way it goes. So, um, only one scratch. That's pretty good. It looks better than the last one. That was the goal. So, welcome, welcome. Let's see, it's still not 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna keep yammering on for a few minutes and then I'll talk about something more substantial. So that's the third mailbox that we have out there now. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be there for a while. Yeah, scratch pin. That's what I'm thinking. I need to get the right color. It's a weird color because it's this like blue green color. But since I know the Pantone color, I'm hoping I can make that work somehow. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Oh, that's cool. Up above my head, you can see that squirrel, which is kind of cool. You can't really see the detail, but it looks like it's carved. It's not. I don't remember who gave that to me, but thank you for it. And then that cute little black cat that I got at Cracker Barrel. He's pretty cute. That's my Herschel kitty. Those guys live up there. And that little sign says, "May all your weeds be wildflowers." And this is in the hall between the well, it's not really between anything. It's on your way into the fabric room. So this is the biggest room in the shop. And this is where I usually sit because I have a little table here that goes up and down. But today, one of the things that we did on one of our 3 trips over here is we got out some of the Christmas stuff. So it's time. So tomorrow I'm going to start putting some Christmas stuff out. I try not to get too far ahead of the game. And I know some shops leave Christmas stuff out all year round. We just don't have room for that. I mean, I would love to. I mean, we leave Christmas charts out all year round and models and stuff, but I just don't have the room for a tree. And we have 2 Christmas trees that we put up. We do have a Halloween tree, although we didn't get it up again this year. But the Christmas tree is going up. If not tomorrow, it's going up Tuesday. We're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, so we've got a little time. But yeah, so a lot of the Christmas decorations came in. Not all of them, but enough to get me started. So that should be fun. Up in the corners in the where the roof comes together like this, there's little vents there. And on this house, they are star-shaped. Kind of a stylized star, I guess is the right way to say that. And so they're original to the house. And there were a couple, 2 or 3 that we had to replace because they were rotted. So they let air into the attic. And we had to take one out and make a pattern with it and cut it out with a jigsaw. And one of my family members did that for us when we were doing the rehab. And then it has all this fancy molding around it and stuff too. So there's like 3 or 4 extra ones upstairs with all the molding in case anybody else has to replace it. But my electrician, when he wired the house, he put these light bulbs right there in those vents, those, I don't know what they're called, eave vents or attic vents or something like that. But they look like stars from the outside. And he put these lights in front of each one, and he gave me a switch for it upstairs by my little office. And last year we turned them on, but the light just kind of sank into the attic. And so this year we're going to put some reflectors behind them. And they're meant to be, any time of the year really, but especially during the holiday season to, push that light out through those stars so that it'll hopefully reflect out and you'll get the pattern of the different cut work in the decorative stars up there. So we'll have to get up there when the weather gets warm again later this week and put those reflectors up and push that light out. It'll be fun. And we made one extra one in the house on the very back of the house that faces the interstate, which you can see when you're driving here from town before you get off the interstate. There wasn't one on that side, and we don't know why, but we could. And so we did put one in there along with the lot. So excited about that. Hey, Kelly. Yay. Welcome, welcome. Oh, yes. Good. So I've been working on my green bean sampler, which was my birthday sampler. And I haven't worked on it in a couple of weeks, but I got a pretty good go at it. I've got one corner of it done, and I started on the alphabet. really, I've got half of one side of it done, and that's where all the work is. And the middle part's just alphabets, and it'll go really quick. Um, and I love it. And I've been stitching it with Vicky Clayton silks, and they are just beautiful. And I think we still have some of those left. We need to order some more. But if you're interested in stitching that with us, definitely do. I'm hoping this week I have a chance to make a floss tube, a real floss tube video, because I haven't done one in months. So if I do, I'll show my sampler. I've got a lot of stuff to show. Well, so here's the deal. I did make one a while back, and I never finished the editing. And so it never got published. And it's probably too old. I'll look at it and see if I can publish it. I will. And then, but I'll still make a new one. So I'll show you the green bean sampler. That'll be fun. Yes, I have started. Yes, finally. I was a late start. I'll admit it. I was late. So I probably started it. Let's see, my birthday was in August. I did not start it in August, and my birthday is in early August. It's like August the 3rd. So I didn't start it then because I was struggling with the fabric, choosing my fabric. And I did finally end up using Cypress from Fiber on a Whim. And we just got a big shipment of that in. I don't know if we've updated the website for it, but I will do that tomorrow. But if you're looking for Cypress or Silver Fox or there were like 4 different colors that we ordered, pretty good depth and count and quantity of counts for those 4 or 5 colors from Fiber on a Whim, because I ordered it for the green bean sampler and then some other ones that I knew would sell. What is the other one? It's got a funny name to it. I can't think what it is, but it's in that kind of gray-green range too. Yeah, Cypress is really pretty, and it does look nice on Cypress. And those Vicky Clayton silks look really nice on there. I don't know if I've posted a picture of it lately, but check out the floss tube that comes out hopefully later this week, and you'll get to see it on there. Well, it's about 8:03, so welcome to everybody. Thanks for listening to me ramble on and on. I'm sure we'll have some people who join late, because usually that's me. Usually struggling to get it turned on, and I don't know why I have so much trouble. Tonight, once I set it up, I kind of left it up on my screen so I could get right back to it, which was good. So I've got a few questions for you guys. And even if you're watching this on the recorded version, and even if you don't have an answer, if you're watching it live and you don't have an answer now, I would love to know your thoughts. And I think I asked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. But so next year we finish up our 8-quarter series on our soiree. And so each quarter we did a particular genre of samplers. And so we started, I think, with a Bristol. We've done English, we've done Dutch, we've done Mexican, we've done Saxon, we've done Scottish. And so there are 2 more. There's a band sampler. And then the folks who were in the soiree asked me to do an original design for an American sampler. I own a few American samplers, but they're not my favorite, I guess. And they certainly don't reflect anything that's you would think of as patriotic. And the reason is because at the time those samplers were made, we were all immigrants. And so they look English, or Dutch. There's nothing that, and that's a good thing. I mean, that's who we are as Americans. We have to remember that sometimes, but there's nothing that qualifies it other than its maker as distinctly American. There are some out there that do. There are certain schools of samplers, and Barbara Hudson has a great collection of Queenstown samplers, which reminds me, if you haven't seen our Fabulous Friday 5 sales that we've been doing, right now, Queenstown Samplers is one of those. And so for the last several weeks, we've taken 2 designers and we've partnered them. And we've pulled 5 different charts, and we've marked the 5 charts as a bundle down to $35. And they can be any 5 charts. That's the mystery part of it. And we're just trying to move out inventory, honestly, before the end of the year, so we don't have to count it and share that with you. And so, we basically are discounting them by half or a little more than half in total. So it's a great opportunity when you see those come up to get them. So right now there's 2 open because I missed one when I was traveling. One of them is Queenstown Samplers and Scarlet House. That one's still open. I always say that it's a 24-hour sale, but I usually forget to turn them off like I did this weekend. So it's still open and I won't turn it off until tomorrow. So that one's out there. So there's 5 charts, a mix, and they are truly a mix. Like we make them up when, when they're ordered or shortly before we put them on sale. And some samplers in there are brand new because those guys are mostly samplers. Some are brand new. Some are, nothing in our shop is really old because we're not really old. And we turn our inventory pretty good. So that's one of them. And I actually did 2. The other one is Plum Street Samplers. And let me look at my list. Jeanette Douglas Designs. So, and they're all really fun, beautiful charts. So there's 2 open. You can still order that, I would say, through probably close to the end of the day tomorrow. I might turn it off tomorrow, though, midday or somewhere in there. But so if you're interested in that, it's $35, 5 charts, which is at least half off, if not a little bit more on all of those grouped together. So that was Queenstown Sampler. So she has done a number of American samplers, different schools. So if you're interested in what some of them might look like from Pennsylvania or Maryland or, someplace like that, you can take a look at her collection. And we have everything from Queenstown Samplers. I'm pretty sure we carry every chart from them because we're good friends. So I was talking about the soiree, I think. I want to make sure I get back to that. And the different sampler designs, the genres. So we've done 6. We've got 2 more. And so we're going to finish up. We've got one in January and one in April. And so that April one will be the celebration for the 250th anniversary of our independence. So the sesquicentennial. I think I got that right. And so that's an original design, and that one will be fun, and you'll have enough time to stitch it. So you can actually sign up for, I think I might have to go check that, but I think I opened it up where you can sign up for the last 2, but I'll make a note to check that because it should just be for the last 2 now. And it might still be a bundle of the last 3. So I'll double check that. And once you're signed up, you can buy back kits. And the way that it worked was we are hoping to have a box finished from Matt Twist of the Boardroom, which is Beth Twist, husband at Heartstring Samplery. He's designed a box for us. And these little samplers will fit on the front, and you can put all the others inside because they're truly small. They're like, no bigger than 5x7. Most of them are like 4x6 or something like that. So it's like a little tasters course in different samplers, and it's been great. And you can only buy the back ones though if you're signed up for a soiree. So anyway, that's the soiree, and that's what's going on with that. But when we finish it up next year, then we have some choices to make, and this is where the question comes in for you guys. When we originally launched our soiree way back in 2018 was when we did our first one. It was an in-person soiree, and we had a really great attendance. We had about 50 people here, which is all our room could hold. We sold out at 50, and that was it. And we had some fun designers come to that, and unannounced to me. They just signed up and came, which was great. And we just stitched, and there wasn't, I might have done a design for it that I gave to them. Maybe like a freebie that I gave, or something that I made for it. And then we had to pivot after that in maybe 2019 we did in person too. I think we did 2 in-person ones. And then we had to pivot and we went online in 2020. And it was huge. It was like over 400 people, which for us was huge. It was one of the first online events during COVID. And then we all got the hang of it and everybody started doing it. But we did full kits. And so we do full kits for the soiree. So that was a lot of kits. So after that, I learned the lesson and I cap it at 100 people just so I don't have to make a lot of kits because it's a lot. And we kit with silk usually. Um, and so, and we keep the price really low. That was the other thing. So the question then is, after the middle of next year, after April, really, we have the option. And so I think what I'd like to do is make it an in-person and a virtual event, a hybrid event, which I know some other shops do that, and I know we can do it too. And so I'm interested though in format of that. Um, I a lot of shops are doing, or not even shops, just people are doing stitch retreats where it's just the stitching. And I like the idea of that honestly because I have so many projects and I'm not, unless I'm going to learn something from the project, I don't really need another. I say that and I every day I'm wanting to stitch something new. But I think that's how a lot of us feel. We don't want to invest in another project, mostly our time, unless it's something pretty unique and that we're going to learn. And that's okay. We've got plenty of opportunity for that coming up next year. We'll get our class schedule posted soon for next year, and we probably won't open up registration other than save a spot until January, just because I don't like carrying that stuff over the tax year. If you remember, I'm an accountant, and that's annoying to me to have income this year that's really not associated with any expenses until next year. It's a problem. So we probably will not do much in terms of registration except take a small deposit for hold your spot. Um, until next year, and then we'll start opening them all up, which is kind of why we do that. We're one of the shops that don't take your money a year in advance. We just don't like to do that. But I do want to give you plenty of time to plan and make sure you've got a spot. And so for that reason, we'll give you a hold spot thing. Um, so we do have about 7 different instructed classes next year. But I want to go back to that. Let's, do a stitch thing. And so I'm interested in your thoughts around that and whether your preference for that is, and I know some of you won't be able to attend in person. That's okay. You'll attend virtually. Um, but whether your preference for that is just the stitching, maybe a freebie that goes with that or something like that, some other fun things, in there, stitch related games, whatever, exchanges, we could do that. That's something we don't usually do except a couple times a year. Um, or whether you like the idea of guest designers, because I do know that some friends of mine that design have been guest designers at retreats where they might create an exclusive, but they don't really teach. The exclusive is with the shop or whoever hosts the retreat. And then they go there and they, just hang out and visit with people. And I'm game for that too. So, and I've got plenty of designer friends who are game for that. Um, that adds expense to it. So y'all have to keep that in mind. Or do you just want to do the stitch thing and, have a fun event without that extra bit? So let me know. And the reason that I'm asking is because we also have on our agenda, really, we wanted to do it this year and it was planned for this year, but then we had Helene last year and it made it impossible to do this year. And that is build our classroom building. And so, I've been on the fence. Do we build or do we just rent something out? The problem is that there's not a space here that we can rent without going into the city itself of Asheville. And once we do that, Asheville is a tourist town and it is expensive. And so the price immediately goes way up when we go into the city. And we are right on the boundary of the city. And there is nowhere for us to go north away from the city that's close enough to make it reasonable. Because if we're going to host a retreat, we want it to be within driving distance of our shop. I don't want to have to take, and maybe I might change my mind on this because somebody, people for years have hit me up about it, but I haven't done it yet. Well, I say that I have done it. I've done little boutique things at little retreats, but I've not really sponsored and loaded up my whole shop and taken it anywhere, which I never could. I mean, that's impossible. But I'm not fond of that. I really would rather you guys come and enjoy the shop because it is an experience. We try to make it an experience, and it's just not the same if you're just in a hotel buying fabric. And I don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm all about that. I am. I'll tell you where I was the last 2 weeks, and I bought some fabric. But so I'm interested in that question. Are you okay with just a stitch retreat, a hybrid retreat, and do you have a preference, strong one way or the other, whether, we have guest designers there? I mean, we can do lecture speakers. I did that in 2020. I had 6 or 7 people and those videos are public. You can go back and watch them. They're really fun. I think it's the very first um, retreat that Jacob DeGroff had done. And we had Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches, who now does the Jingle Ball. I think it was one of her first ones to jump in and just chat. And so I think it laid the groundwork for people to come in and do it bigger and better. And I think that's fantastic. So, but those videos are out there. You can go watch them. It's fun. We just had to pivot and do something. And that's what we did. And it worked. And that was great. And thank those of you who were there for that. It was fun. Hey, Sandy, no worries. Oh, thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I like the idea of the just stitching. Let me know though. Cause we can, I mean, it can be jazzed up. It won't just be, sit and stitch like our Zoom stitches. It's more than that. But, I guess I'm very interested in how meaningful it is to you that we have personalities there for you to interact with, or is it enough for you to have the social aspect of your fellow stitchers? And, I'm sure there'll be some personalities there because they just are. People do come to those things and it's fun. Anyway, just let me know your thoughts. I guess I'll stop rambling on about that. And then the classroom building, that's the other reason I'm asking. I'm trying to figure out, is it worth it for me to build behind me? Because I have plenty of property to do it. Or should we just bite the bullet and go into the city of Asheville and rent a space? And if we did that, we could go to a hotel. We could do 200 people if we wanted to, or whatever, I mean, I've always been, when it comes to classes, I'm very, very insistent that they be small because that's the only way you can really get quality time with your instructor and learn something and have the potential to walk out of there with something finished. Once you get over 25 people in a room, you're in more of a lecture environment. And, hopefully the instructions are going to be recorded on video and sent to you later. Because you're not going to have a good chance of getting enough time with anybody to learn something new. If you know how to do it, you're going to be fine. But if you don't, it's tough. And so that's why we keep our stuff. The most we do is 28. We really try to keep it to 24. And that's all our little room at the hotel we do it at will hold. But if we build a building, we'll be able to do, seat like 40 people. But again, that won't be a real class. That'll be a lecture and maybe a sit and stitch. Or if we want to do a big sit and stitch, we go into the city and we rent a space at the Grove Park Inn, somewhere near the Biltmore. There's only like 4 hotels in Asheville that can do it. And I know them all. And I've been to all of them because I used to come home and do my continuing education for my CPA license. And so I lived away, but because my company was paying for it, I always came home. I just let them pay for me to come home and did my continuing education here. And so I know all those places because that's where they were. So let me know if you want to do that. Maybe we can start doing that, once a year, every other year, whatever. My other question around that is timing, because there's so much going on. And we kind of jumped out of our normal soiree schedule 2 years ago when we started this quarterly thing, because we always did it in the fall. We did it the 3rd week of September or sometime in October, and it's just such a busy time. And so, for this area, I really can't book anything between the very early part of November until really the very late part of April. anytime in between those two, and we are all looking at issues with travel. Well, oh gosh, we've all got issues with travel right now with airfare, but we get snow and it's unpredictable. And I'm on a rolling chair, and that's why I keep wiggling around. And so I know that you guys have trouble getting here sometimes, and we have trouble hosting sometimes. One time we did have something in February, or no, it was December, and it snowed. We were able to do it, but only because the main roads were clear, but people coming in had trouble getting here. And so I just don't want to do that. I'd rather do something virtual in those months. And we do have something virtual coming up next year in the winter months. So, yeah, tell me your ideas about timing too. I'm thinking summertime, just to stay out of that fall time zone. And also that makes the price here more reasonable if we do rent something. So anyway, that's where my mind has been. And the reason I need to decide, so the other thing that happened this week, I have some rental properties, and I've sold all but one. And my person that was in the one that I still had moved out, and it needs some work, which happens. This person was in there for a number of years. And so they moved out. And so we've got to do quite a bit of work to it. And we have to decide, are we going to rent it or are we going to sell it? And if we sell it, then I have to do something with the money. And so I would put it back into, another property. So that's where the classroom building would come in. I just put it right back into the business. And then that space can be rented out to local places who, like me, don't have any place to meet for a relatively small to medium-sized group. So, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, craft meetups, those kinds of things. There aren't a ton of small spaces in this area available that are even remotely affordable. So we would offer that out to people too. So it's not a money issue, because, it'll pay for itself. It's just which way makes the most sense for the business kind of thing. So let me know your thoughts about that, either in the chat or by email. I would be very thankful for that. So what have I been doing? Well, I talked to you 2 weeks ago from Wisconsin, from above Country Sampler in Spring Green. And so while I was there, I met a friend, and we sat for the week, and we worked on some projects that we wanted to get to and had not had enough concentrated time to do it. And so I encourage you guys to do that, whether you do it in person or virtually. Set some time aside and pick a project, and have an accountability partner and start working through that. So my friend Arlene and I have been friends for almost 20 years, but she's from Wisconsin, from Madison, and she lives in Florida. And so we decided, we've been trying to get this project going. If you were on a couple weeks ago, it's the pear from Blackiston Creamery. And Beth mentioned this, and I did go out and I actually downloaded it there because I didn't forget my book. I couldn't find my book. And so I didn't take it. The directions you can now download for that Blackwork pear from Inspirations Magazine. So if you're interested in what it looks like, you can go out to the Inspirations Magazine website and type in Blackwork pear, and it'll pull it up. It's called Blackiston. I want to say Blakiston was the name of the book, and I don't know if it's still available. But you can see it, and they've come out with some other fruits now too. There's a fig, there's an apple. They're just gorgeous. So they're 3D, and we did it pretty much exactly like the instructions. Now, Beth, who's online tonight, well, I don't have mine done. Beth has completed more than one pear, and she is teaching it to her guild right now. And she modified the instructions and made it a lot more palatable. We spent a long time in the prep work. Arlene and I did, like at least 2 days of the 5 days that we had together, because I had to travel up and back. So that cut into my time. But I think the way Beth has laid it out is much better, which she has talked about on Fiber Talk. So if you want to know how Beth did it, you can go watch some of the Fiber Talk videos. And do a little search out there, and you'll pop up the ones where she's talked about it. And she's done hers in some different colors. And so we worked on that project. We worked on a Trish Newen project called the Fancy Finishes Sampler. And I had not stitched mine. Erlene has hers completely stitched, but it was a way to attach some trim work to it using some threads that Trish had reproduced from 17th century needlework techniques. And she had given some instruction on how to use those threads to create a finish that replicated one from the 17th century. I'm sorry, 1700s. My throat's dry. I haven't been talking to anybody lately. And so we got all of our trim prepped, and Arlene started hers, and she may be done by now. But I got all of my trim prepped, which actually took a day. And then I had to start stitching. And so I'm still stitching the ornament. I got most of it done, but then it's got all this background stitches. That's a lot of stitching. So are any of you doing either of those projects, or have you done it other than Beth? Because I know you're doing I know you've done the pair. But yeah, if you've done, hey Linda, if you have done the fancy finishes, I'd love to see a picture of it. You can post it. And that was, oh, and I started, it's right here. I'm going to get it for you because it's really pretty. I wanted to start to kind of commemorate the trip. And we have a few of these in kits. And we also then have this chart. But it's kind of a play on words from Ink Circles. And Tracy at Ink Circles does the best play on words ever. Seas and greetings. And so it looks like a Dutch sampler. That's what a lot of the Dutch samplers look like. They have these little boats and they have these tiny little people, but then it's got little Santa Clauses and little elves on the boats instead of little Dutch people. So we have a couple of these that have the fabric in it and all the threads, and then the rest are just the chart. So yeah, this is my Christmas stitch. So if you guys want to stitch this with me, you may have this or you can pick it up. But that was my other new start. And so that's really what I stitched on. And we stayed in the upper room there at Spring Green. And I cooked up there, and we pretty much just hung out up there and stitched. We did meet a friend, Polly Panache. We went to her home and hung out with her for dinner one night. Thank you, Polly, for that. That was a great experience. Got to see some of Polly's stitching, and that was fun. We didn't do any stitching. We had big plans to, but we didn't. But that was great because Polly's a friend, and it was fun to visit. And let's see what else. And I shopped. And so we went to Lynn's of Madison twice. And I did a little video there, which I posted on Facebook, I think, maybe Instagram. And we went to Country Sampler 2 or 3 times, because it was right underneath us. And I bought at both places fabric that I don't carry. And so Erlene was like, Kim, don't you like own a shop? And I mean, there's plenty of fabric here. Why are you buying so much fabric? I said, because I don't have this fabric, Erlene. So there you go. I'm just like everybody else. It doesn't matter what you've got. It's what you need, what you don't have that you need to have. So, anyway, and I really enjoyed both shops. I took a lot of pictures at, I keep wanting to call it Spring Green instead of Country Sampler. I took a lot of pictures and I'll put them together maybe for the Floss video I mentioned. It is a beautiful shop. If you ever have a chance to go to either of those shops, you should go. Lynn's is actually, I don't know if it's this weekend or next weekend. It might be this weekend that just went by, but I'm sure it's all week. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary. So Lynn's of Madison. And I will tell you something I discovered is they do amazing framework there. So we don't frame in our shop. We just don't have time for that. But they frame, and their framing is top of the line. I'm very particular about framing, and especially, with how antiques are treated, because I have a lot of antiques and they are really, really, really good. So, if you don't mind sending something off, I think you will be very well pleased with what Lens of Madison does for you, because I'm going to send some stuff up there. I will say that, I'm just going to say that they're one of the top, you know, framers that I have seen in terms of how they handle, at least antiques and original stitches or replications. Just beautiful. I saw several different um, examples, not from them, from friends who had picked stuff up from there. So it's not like they showed me something, that I would be impressed with. I was looking at other people's stuff outside of the shop and was just very thoroughly impressed. And that's not really very easily done with framers. I'm known to sit down and take them apart. Many times I've taken them apart to see what they did on the inside. So you can actually see what Lens is doing if you go up there too. You can see what they're doing to it. So, um, even weave, all cotton even weave. I don't have an all cotton even weave because even weave is not generally 100% cotton, Sandy. Um, a Lagana is a blend, a Joblin is a blend, and Moderna, which is Medina was a vaccine. Medina is a blend for the 36 count. I don't know of an all cotton even weave. If somebody does, please post it, but I don't. I know those three, and there are others, but I don't know of one that's all cotton. And the reason why it's a blend is to get that consistent diameter of the thread. That's why they blend it, so that each thread is one consistent diameter, which is why it's a lot of people call it even weave. Even weave really refers to the number of threads on warp and weft, so horizontally and vertically. And I might have just said that backwards, but in both directions, if they're the same number of threads per inch, then it's an even weave. But that's not how most people use the term. They use it to mean that it's a that all the threads are the same diameter, even. And so we think of Lagana and Joblin and Medina as even weaves, but I don't know of any that's 100% cotton. But I do have a lot of 32 and 36 in Lagana. Well, in Medina. The 36 is a Medina. The 32 is a Lagana. We do have Zweigart working on. I think Atomic Ranch told me that they do have Zweigart working on a different blend of fiber for 36 count, um, that would give a texture more like Lagana versus Medina, and just two different fibers. Because the Medina has a different feel to it. It's not a bad feel. It's just it doesn't feel as much like cotton as the 32 count. It must be the content of cotton in the 32 count and the 28 count is higher. So would linen be better for a breadcloth? No, I would use an even weave. I've used both. I've actually stitched on linen for the breadcloth, and it just kind of depends um, on the design. And so, um, either of those fabrics are going to take washing just fine. Lagana, and it's the dyer you've got to think about. Um, so you might want to get something that's not by an over dyer. So a Zweigart base that is just a Zweigart. So it's dyed that way from the factory. And we do have a number of those. Zweigart does dye linen straight from the factory. And so you don't have to worry about the dye coming out from an over dyer. So that would be my focus versus the fiber content, because I think, the Lagana will wash just fine, which I know is what you need for breadcloth. Um, so I would think I would go with like a 32 count Zweigart base Lagana is what I would do. Plain water off white, yep, that'd be fine at cream. I'll see what I've got for you, Sandy. Let me make that note. Um, and I'll holler back. Okay, so So that's what I was doing the last couple weeks. Well, and then there was something else. So I drove all the way back on last Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, in one day. And I worked on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I went over to Knoxville, Tennessee, which is just like a 2-hour drive. And Everett went with me. And I went over there for a gold work class with Clara. And I'm going to say it wrong, but Warshauser. I always get confused because I want to say Worcestershire because I can actually say that word, or Gloucestershire. And so I'm sorry, Claire, I mispronounced the last name, but it was a gold work class and it was to make a little frog, a little 3D frog, kind of 3D surface frog. And then you cut it out and you make it into a scissor fob. And so I think Beth did the same thing when she took this class. I've almost got him done and I haven't touched him since I got back this week, but I got most of it done in that day, which was pretty awesome. Again, it was an example of a class that had, I want to say it had, maybe 24 people in it. And that was a lot to teach without, and there was no overhead or anything. And so Claire was kind of walking around trying to give assistance. And that was a lot for a whole class full of people who not all, most people had not done gold work. And Claire is good enough that she sent out the video right after the class to everybody. So we've got her video workshop of how to finish it. And so I think everybody will be fine. But, that's a very technical type of embroidery to do in that big of a class setting. So that's kind of the thing with, you think through all that. However, having said that, I was one of the last people that got to register for it because somebody wasn't able to do it from the guild, and I appreciate that. And I think it worked because she did have the video recording of the class and could send that to everybody. So I'm really grateful they let a few extra people in there because I wouldn't have gotten to take that. So a lot of designers are in the States right now that don't live here because of the EGA National seminar. And they do, this year might be the last year, I think, they do like an international teachers tour. And so before seminar and after seminar, they go to different guilds, EGA guilds, and they teach. And so that's what Clara was doing. And she had a jam-packed schedule. I mean, it was just crazy. So she had already taught once, and then she taught us on Monday. Then she was going down to Florida and Virginia, and I think Texas, and then she had the seminar, and then she was going out again to like 3 different places. So it's a busy, busy schedule for those folks. And we just so much appreciate them coming over. And we appreciate EGA for hosting them and bringing them in and getting all the paperwork done. And then we all get to take some classes. So just really grateful for that. If you're interested in Clara stuff, I think I did post a picture of that frog somewhere. I'll get him done and show him on a video. But you can go look at her website. She does have kits. I don't know that they're available for order right now while she's teaching, but they will be when she gets back to the UK. She is actually not British yet. She's going to take her British citizenship, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her nationality, but she is Portuguese. Took me a minute. Sorry. She's Portuguese. But she's been living in the UK for a while. She lives in London. And that's where her studio is. And she teaches for the usual suspects that we've talked about before, like the Royal School of Needlework and, different places. But she teaches mostly for herself now. She is Royal School of Needlework trained. That is where she did her studies at. So yeah, my little frog turned out really good, Lori. Thank you. I'm excited about it. But like Beth, I remember her doing this. Once I looked at the little frog, he's right in the middle of my hoop. I showed it to Everett and he goes, he's little bitty. I said, yeah, he is little bitty. He goes, you've got room to do a bunch more. And I went, oh, you're exactly right. I do. And I've got plenty of gold work threads to do it with because of my other classes and stuff. So I'm not going to cut him out yet. I'm going to leave him on there. I'm going to finish him up. I'm almost done. I probably don't have maybe 3 hours worth of work and he's done. But I do think I'm going to make some others because I really worked about 4 hours and got him to where he is. So in about 7 or 8 hours, I can have a completed one. And so I think I'm going to make a couple more on that piece of fabric since it's stretched before Christmas. So I'm excited about that. So that was the other thing I did, and then I came home and I've just been working since then. So it's been good. Um, on that note, I had so many things on my little list that I wanted to talk to you about. Let's see. Let me look what else. Oh, something super exciting happened. We so last year was our first year selling wholesale at Nashville Needlework Market. And we shared a room with my good friend, Barbara Hudson of Queenstown Sampler Designs. And she is a good friend. I love Barb. I really do. And her husband, Jim, and they're fun. And we are a good little match together. But we really wanted our own room, at least once for the experience of it. But we have a pretty good sized portfolio. And I don't want to infringe on anybody's space. I'm real conscious about that. And so with 4 people in there, showing and selling and then all of our stuff, we made it work because we really appreciate each other and are very good with each other. But I felt like we were cramping their style a bit, although I don't think Barb would say that at all. But she definitely invited us back and wanted us back. But we got our own room, so we're really excited about it. So we've been planning that. We are going to be it's fun because I own so many samplers that I've got charted. I'd say a third of them are charted, but they're not stitched. And then I've got actually a pretty good chunk of original design in my head, and some are charted and some are done. And so we want to take those too. So this year we are going to be taking a new set of reproductions. We've got about 6 that we should have done, maybe 5. They're charted, they just have to get stitched. But we've got such beautiful antiques that even if we don't get the full model finished, we'll have the antique there to show. But hopefully, there's some in there that are pretty manageable, and I'm a pretty fast stitch. It just means I won't get to stitch my other stuff, so I might not have my green bean sampler finished. I really wanted to finish it before the end of the year, but there you go. Can't have everything you want. Um, we've got one coming out that's a little Scottish, and it's really pretty, and it's got lots of colors. And we are going to collaborate with Romy of Romy's Creations, who does beautiful threads, by the way. And I think they're 8-yard or 8-meter skeins. We've got a bunch of them here. There's only about 50 base colors, 50 core colors to the group. And then she does one-offs now and then. We've got most of the full line now. We don't have them all online, but we're working on that. Um, we'll bring the rest in and we'll have her full line. And I know some of you love her reds. She does beautiful reds. And you'll be able to get that from us. So we're collaborating with her, and we've already pulled the threads, and I've already started stitching it. I haven't even charted it. I just started stitching it from the antique during Stitch Group Thursday night because I needed to get it going. And we've got some others going too. So, and I've got a little help from my friends too on doing a few models, and I'm open to more help. So if you want to volunteer, and then we are because we've been asked so many times. We launched Herschel's Helpers, and Herschel's my little black cat up there behind me. Everybody came into the room last year and wanted to buy the black cat design. Well, we didn't chart Herschel. I mean, honestly, the thought never crossed my mind to chart Herschel, and so this year we're charting Herschel. And so we'll have a couple of exclusive kits, one like we did last year, which was Mary Lee, which was a sampler extract and then all the finishing for it. We'll do one like that from another sampler that'll come out in 2027. So for the Needlework Show in 2026, we'll show you a small, we'll take the antique, we'll talk about it, but we won't have the antique available to the following year. And then we'll also do something fun with Herschel. So, and maybe a friend of Herschel. So that should be fun. And we've got some other original designs that we're going to bring out too, just that are just fun and easy. So that was the other big news. I'm pretty excited about that. I hope you guys are excited. Let's see. Yeah, the embroidered book. Holy cow, right, Sandy? I mean, that was a beautiful book. Well, that's one of my personal projects. I have not taken the first stitch on that yet. I'm behind on that. And I've got another class this week. So I gotta pick up the pace on that one. But like I said, it may be next year. We'll see how we go. Um, I think I've hit everything, almost everything on my list. So, uh, next week, sometime soon, I'll take some pictures and post them as I do the Christmas decorating because we've got this selfie spot outside that we kind of did something with this year, but we're going to decorate it for Christmas, so that should be fun. So I'll show you guys all the Christmas pictures of the shop. I'm pretty stoked that we're actually going to get it done this year. I wanted to show you. I think most of you have seen this, but it's Christmas related, and we are coming down to the end of a number of kits that we had, and so this was one of the I this was a class kit originally. This is a scissor fob here, and it's a little squirrel. Let me stop fiddling around with it and hold it where you can see it. So that's a little squirrel on the scissor fob. This is the scissor case. So it's a Christmas tree. And then this is a little snow globe needle book. And that is our shop in there. And so Romy of Romy's Creations, and then it's just a sweet little needle book. This is a kit. She designed this for class a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I think. It was called Sassy Little Christmas. And she surprised me with it. It was before we'd even opened the shop. And she took a picture of our shop and she made this design in a little snow globe. And so it's got these sweet little beads on it. So this kit I think is like $90 and it has everything in it except for the scissors. It has all the finishing supplies, it has all the threads, it has everything in it you need to stitch it and finish it. And Romy has really good instructions too. But we're coming down to the end of them, and when they're gone, they're gone. So I just wanted to throw that out. I know a lot of you have it, but because it's Christmas, I wanted to tell you about it. Now, we also did have class kits left over from the classes they just did here, and we still do have a few of both Romy and Simona, and it was Halloween focus this year. So it was Sassy Little Halloween, and I don't have a finished one here, but Romy did a beautiful etui box, and Simona did a really pretty little cylindrical, a little like a partial drum with a little pincushion head and a little needle book called Spooky Sewing Set. Hers was. So it was Sassy Little Halloween and Spooky Sewing Set. And they're both fantastic. And I think the prices on them are really, really good. So when I ordered it, and I ordered extra ones, and the people who came got their money's worth. We gave them some fun stuff in addition to all that. But Romy's kit too has a sweet little Halloween. We made a little needle minder. I made it with AI with I called it Herschel's Halloween Party, and so it's a little black cat and a frog and some friends out in the forest. And so I put that one in with Romy's. So if you want those kits, you should go get them. I guess that's what I'm saying, because when they're gone, they're gone. I wanted to talk a little bit about this in conjunction with some other things. I try not to make these videos salesy, but I've not been very good about letting you guys know what I've been doing. And so I want to let you know, this is the first chart that we ever published, AC Bluebird Quaker Sampler. And we did it as like a chapter kit kind of. So you got one chapter at a time. And then we published it in 2018. It was our first publication. And this year this year for 2025 for the needlework market, I took it apart during COVID and redid the colors. The first time we published it, a friend did that for me. And this time I wanted to do it myself and do it from the back. And I wanted to, give some different options because we were having trouble getting all the threads for it. So we redid it. This is a stitched model instead of the antique on the front. The original one had the antique, and we did it with classic Colorworks cotton threads, a Veriswa Swat Alger, and a Veriswa 103 and Cosmo. And I spent an extraordinary amount of time color matching all of those. And so on the back, you have all of those different colorways, and then inside you've got that's the antique there. You can see it. And so each just to show you kind of it's a big chart. It's color. But the legend gives you all those different options. And so we've been putting the reason I'm telling you this is because I wanted to let you know we did this. But we've also been putting back out our PDFs. So we took them down for the needlework market last year, and our international customers have been asking for them. And so we've taken the time, and I think almost all of them are back out there as PDFs. This one I updated with the current PDF with this PDF. And so it's back out there. And we do have full thread kits available in Classic Colorworks and in 103 right now, ready to go. I don't think we have full kits in Soit Alger or Cosmo, but we'll be bringing those back in because this is our number one seller. We think it's an Ackworth sampler, and the history of it's in there. It doesn't have a name on it, but it does have the initials AC, which you can't see right here because it's very light. And we're pretty sure it was a teaching piece because the quality of the needlework is just superb. And I showed it to the curator at Ackworth Museum, and I also showed it to the woman that wrote the book, whose name I can't think of right now, which is terrible. I met her at the Fitzwilliam Museum, and I showed it to her. She wrote a book about Quakers, and she agreed that she thought it was probably an Ackworth too. So while it doesn't say Ackworth on it, it's probably an Ackworth. And no matter what it is, it's gorgeous. So you've got that out there. We're going to be using these same colors, and we're making a flip book. We've already started on it, where you've got the full motif. I mean, you can do it by using the motifs in here. You don't need the flip book, but I want to stitch it where it's like just a long kind of band sampler. And I want to stitch one motif at a time on that band sampler. So maybe for market this year, you'll see the flip book, or it may be later in the year. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about the thread kits mostly for that. And I wanted to tell you that the PDFs are back out there. So if you just want a PDF, you can get them. Now, the one thing I haven't done yet is make them Pattern Keeper compatible, but we're working on that. So at some point, those PDFs will become Pattern Keeper compatible. Biscornus are very big right now. And so I wanted to just show you this fun little Biscornu. This was one that we did for a soiree, and it's done with Cosmos. And I know you can see the chart here, but you haven't seen the back. So it's got some funky colors in it. We called it a sunset Biscornu, a mountain sunset, because those are kind of the colors of it. But if you're looking for a Biscornu chart, this was an original design, and it stitches out really pretty. The other thing that's getting ready to sell out, and when it's gone, is this Helene kit that Jackie Duplessis created for us, and that some of you out there completely and totally funded. So several stitchers paid for all of the fabric and all of the silks and all of the ribbon, everything that went in to make this kit. And Jackie donated the design. And all of the money from this went to Helene Relief. And so we're getting down to the remainder of the kits. And the kits that we have left, we put in there. Kathy Ray of Needle in a Haystack actually also made a really beautiful thread keep for it. It's a little acorn, and it says Rise Above the Waters, which is what Jackie named it. And so each of the kits have one of these with it too. And Kathy donated this too. Time and materials, like everything was donated. So the money that you spend on this kit goes to Helene Relief still. The whole thing is $75, and it has everything in it. It's got all the silks. It's got the finishing fabric. It's got instructions. It's even got like a spool of 103 in there. So it's even got the interfacing that you need to make it. I have finished stitching mine, but I haven't put it together. But I've got a little video that I'm going to put out when I put mine together, which hopefully is in the next 2 weeks, because I would like to get my finishing done. So I just wanted to share with you that this is one of those things. And this is the instruction pack for it. I mean, it's pretty good size. And this is the chart. It's a really beautiful chart. It's a nice big quality chart. It's a big printout for the chart. This was just so touching and meant such a lot to me, but also to the people that it helped. I mean, a lot of people, well, y'all know the story. I'm not going to go back into it again here, but I just wanted you to know that I'm going to put that in there later, that those are getting down to, like, I want to say the last 20, something like that, if there's that many left. So this one, a lot of you already have Carolina Coverlet. We did this as a bootstrap kit last year. And when I say a bootstrap kit, we put together some fully kitted things after Helene to help our shop because we were closed. And this was our little logo for it. And we're going to do more with the bootstrap thing. So I made this with AI too, just a little squirrel in the woods with little green boots on. And he's foraging for his future. And he's pulling himself up by his bootstraps. The thing with this that we did for Helene, this was an exclusive chart from Summer House Stitchworks to Sassy Jacks. And we used it in our soiree a few years ago. And then for Helene, we re-kitted it with fall colorways. And so it has all the thread and the fabric in it for you to stitch it in this fall colorway. And I put a little diagram in here that showed you kind of how I stitched it. And how I use those colors. There's 3 in there. And they're Carolina colors. And so the fabric and the thread are from Weeks Dye Works, which is a North Carolina company. I don't know if you knew that, but they're in Garner, North Carolina. Miranda, who owns that company and started that company, is an NC State graduate. So there's Tobacco Road, which is this brown and really beautiful fall color one. Carolina Cecil, and then sweet potato. And sweet potatoes is a major crop here in North Carolina. So North Carolina colors and a fall colorway. There are, and the numbers on these on the website are correct. And there aren't many. I want to say there might be like 12 or 13 in 36 count and 2 in 16 count Ada and maybe 2 or 3 in 32 count. So if you don't have this and you want it, time's a wasting. So, and we may do something with it later. We may not. I mean, we've sold a bunch of them and I appreciate you for that. Thank you for that. This was something that we did for a group that came and stitched with us a while back. And then we also then used it in the soiree, but we put it together as a little Asheville band sampler. And these initials here should be your initials if you get this. And they are the same alphabet that's up here in the sampler. They're just twice as big. So just make it bigger and you'll be able to tell how to do it. And then AVL is an abbreviation for Asheville. If you don't like that, you can change it and put the numbers in there for the year or whatever. But squirrels and foxes and acorns and the Blue Ridge Mountains here, the sun and the moon, just really pretty. So, and leaves. We have plenty of these, but I just wanted to point it out to you because it's fall. And then there's one thing that we're getting ready to release this week. And it's a little Christmas set. And it was another gift. And this will be a bootstrap kit. So you'll get that little bootstrap thread keep with it. That's what that was. It's a little freebie thread keep. But Romy of Romy's Creations created this for us. It's a little pin cushion. And it is a little squirrel scissor fob. And I put some scissors on it. And a little squirrel needle book. And so Romy created the design for us. And so with this one, you'll get Romy's thread and the design and the fabric to stitch it on. And I guess I need to think about this fabric because I didn't really put this in there, but you probably should have that since it's a part of it. So I'll look at this, but I just wanted you to know that this is coming. It's a little, I thought it would be nice at Christmas since it's red. Little Red Squirrel. So if you like the Little Red Squirrel. And then these scissors that I put with it are these Premax, which I think this will be a great little Christmas gift. They're $23, and these are my favorite scissors. That we have them in lots of different colors, but I really think that for like anywhere between, and it depends on the scissor, $21 to $24. These are the best bang for your buck for scissors. I think they're fantastic, but they're really pretty, and they went really nicely with this little kit. So you'll see me launch this little kit sometime this week. I'll figure out what to do about this fabric and probably kit it with it. I know we've got the chart and we've got the threads ready to go. I kind of wasn't thinking about the backing fabric, but I think you need that to finish it. So we'll probably put that together. Yeah, the Premax are my favorites too. I think that's all my rambling I had to do tonight. And I think I actually hit all my little points. So I appreciate you joining me tonight. And is there anything wrong in using whatever colors one has at hand for the bluebirds? No, there's not. So I would absolutely tell you, especially something like this, definitely if you want to stitch from stash, do that, because each medallion, I mean, the colors are used in here more than once for most things, but you can use whatever you want to. It's a great way to use up thread in your stash. So absolutely stitch from stash with this for the colors. And the way we've put it online is you can pick whatever neutral fabric you want to stitch it on. It looks good on a lot of different things. So, if you decide you want to stitch this, yeah, feel free to stitch it from stash. That's a great question. What else? You wish there were charts to the embroidered books. So I think there are, Sandy. So there is a little book that I want to say EGA did, because I think my friend Debbie is stitching it. I'll double check on that. But I think there's a few out there. But now those silk shading, which is what that project was, I don't know of anything. I'm sure there are, but I know that there are 3 books right now that have been created by the Crewel Work Company, that will, right now they're doing these online classes. So you can definitely join an online class and do them. I don't know at what point they'll just be released as a kit. There's a ton of silk in there, and there's a lot of instruction with it to get it to look like that, because they are tiny. Like I've seen a couple of them in person. I mean, they're like, literally like 4 inches tall and maybe 3.5 inches wide. They are so tiny, and maybe like 1.5 inches thick or 2 inches thick. Such little books to have all that embroidery on them. I'll definitely share more about that with you as I go through my class. But if you do have a chance to sign up for one, and you can do it, I mean, they're not cheap because of all the threads involved, but if you want to commit to it, I'm in your corner 100%. You should do it. For sure. You know, we'll be doing a couple things. We've got our Jeanette Douglas My Stitching book coming out next year, which is a different kind of book, but still a really beautiful book. And I know I dragged my feet all year on that, getting that out there, but there's just been a lot going on. But we'll be starting that next year, and we'll work on it through the year. It's perfectly laid out to stitch over a 12-month period. But I do have a silk shading piece, a little panel off of probably a 17th century something. And I'm working with one of my tutors. I've asked her to develop something for it, and she's going to. So in a couple different ways. One is in silk shading, and one is going to be with like some metal threads. So a little bit more surface embroidery, kind of like that unicorn that I showed you guys. So that'll come out 2 ways, and I'll probably do it myself the 3rd way and cross stitch. So it's not a book. It's just a little panel, but a panel will be enough to get you guys to wet your whistle on that EGA book. Yeah, okay, Debbie's online. So Debbie says, yes, there is a black work book done by the EGA. So you can probably look online on the EGA courses and find that book. It's beautiful too. Debbie's done a lot of great courses through EGA, and so has Beth. I'm a member of EGA at large and of the Knoxville Guild. Asheville does not have a guild. And I used to be a member and an officer in both the Cary Guild and the Raleigh Guilds. But I can't really do that now. I got too many irons in the fire. So I can't really do that now. And Asheville doesn't have a guild, so it would make it kind of hard to get it started and everything. But, if you're not a member of EGA, certainly give it some thought. The other thing that we are doing as a shop is we're going to be bringing in some small kits for painted canvas needlepoint, which is not my thing. I like counted canvas, and I've got a number of counted canvas stuff at home and in the shop we sell for counted canvas. But since Christmas of last year, at least 3 times a week, we have, and sometimes a lot more than that, people coming in asking us for small kits for painted canvas. And so we are divesting of punch needle, and we are bringing in painted canvas in small kits and trunk shows. And we are bringing in crewel work from the Crewel Work Company. So you'll see us with that next year. We'll be launching that for you. So that's the other thing that we've got moving and shaking in here. So I think that's all I've got for tonight. I appreciate you guys listening to me chat. And if you've got questions for me, send them to me. We've got a few orders on hold right now, but we were working through them yesterday, and we should have everything out. I know I owe Beth a kit because I need to match some silk, and I want to do it myself. So I owe Beth a kit, but we've got most stuff current except for the stuff that's just come in over the last few days. So we'll be knocking that stuff out and getting all that stuff. So we're keeping pretty current these days, unless it's something, like a one-off or something that we have to spend a little time with. So I hope you guys have a really good week and stay warm. I know it's going to be cold, but only for a day or so. And then I will see you back. So if you have a crewel work project, send me a note and let me know, because we meet twice a month to work on our Crewel Work Company projects, and you're welcome to join us. And Tuesday of this week is the time zone that we do it on that matches the US and the UK. And then 2 weeks from that, on the 4th Tuesday of the month, we do it on the time zone that matches the US and Australia. And so if you have a Crewel Work Company kit, or you want to hang out and stitch with us on a Tuesday, send me a note and let me know, and I will send you the invite for that. And then on the 4th Friday, I missed it last week. I apologize. I completely, totally spaced. And I think I was driving home that day, and I totally spaced. And so I'm hugely apologetic for it. I'm sorry. I love to stitch with you guys. And so I was driving back from Wisconsin, and I just completely blanked, just spaced, just didn't even think about it. So that was all on me. Sorry. But 4th Friday this month, we will be doing our Zoom stitch, and in December. So I will see you all again next week, and I hope you have a fabulous week. And thank you so much for listening to me and for joining. Yeah, stitching with her. That's true. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good week. Thank you.